What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Check out what I have here today. This is the Caddx Vista Kit. Everything inside this box for adding Caddx Vista to basically anything you want. You can put this on a fixed wing, you can put it on a micro quad with a 20x20 mount stack, or you could put it on a 5-inch race quad with a 20x20 mount stack, or even a 6-inch, 7-inch, or 10-inch, whatever size you want to put on there. And it has a built-in receiver. It does not have any DVR on it, but I'm going to open this up, and I think we should test this one on a fixed wing because I have a new eSky. This is the ES plane right here, and you guys might have seen this plane around the Horizon Hobby neck of the woods because this plane is actually manufactured by eSky, the guys who did that 8-foot glider that I reviewed on the channel. And this plane down here actually is the Aero Scout without the Horizon Hobby stickers on there, basically. So we're going to fly this Vista on there, and I'm going to show you guys some of the footage. We're going to talk about the Vista. I'm also going to talk about how it performs on a quad with the receiver, as well as the camera penetration with the VTX. So we'll talk about all those aspects. The Caddx Vista has a pretty good power range. I'm just gonna double check on the power range for you. This one will actually run on 4S if you wanted to. So let's go ahead and get this installed, and then we'll go out to the field and we'll test this on a fixed wing. Here we go, guys. Now we're gonna test out the Vista on a few different types of aircraft, 2 different quads and 2 different airplanes. We're gonna start out with this Tiger Moth. This is the Insta360 Go view, front and back right here. The back view is kind of cool too, but this is the cockpit view that I got with the Vista. I just took some hot glue and simply just hot glued it down to the fuselage. So I get that kind of cockpit pilot perspective, which is really neat because you can see the instrument panel and everything. It adds kind of a cool perspective to flying the biplane with the Vista. You can kind of see the struts and the top of the wing up there, which is really neat. And it really does give you that feeling that you're sitting in the cockpit. And after I got used to this view, I was able to even do some landings with it. But I think the overall quality from the cockpit view on the Tiger Moth was neat because the clarity of the Vista is just so good. And this is what's recorded from the goggles in the DVR. And you can really even see the detail on the trees. And once you get close down to the ground, you can see the details on the grass coming in. It's really, really clear. And it's a bit bumpy at times on a fixed wing, depending on how you decide to mount your Vista, but I felt like this was pretty good. This was more solid than even my Insta360 Go mount on the very top of the wing. That top wing is vibrating a lot more than the fuselage itself, so the fuselage was the perfect place to mount. You can see the camera down there mounted. The Vista is just mounted on the second cockpit windshield, right behind the first cockpit. And we can even come in and I can do some FPV landings. The first one was not a success, but go back and try again. So here we come on the second landing attempt. And I was trying not to tip this over on the landing for you guys, get a perfect landing in. A little bit of wind coming across the runway, but I was able to get it back down on the ground for a successful landing. That was super cool. So there's a lot of versatility here with the Vista, and I just wanted to show you guys examples of both on a quad, the Sector 132. This is a Cinewhoop that I tested out and reviewed last week on the channel for you guys. So the video penetration, this is around 200 milliwatt through some pretty thick and heavy trees back here, and you can crank it all the way up to 700 and it'll look like this. And this is a clear line of sight, but this is kind of amazing. This is the GEP RC Rocket Lite, another example of a Caddx Vista setup on a quad. This is another Cinewhoop, very similar to the same size as the Sector 132 from HTLRC, but look at, can you believe that this is actually the DVR from the goggles, not the onboard DVR. So this is looking really good, and I don't see a lot of pixel breakup until we get around trees. You can see it start to break up right here, and this is about the extent of it. If you go behind some really thick evergreens, you'll have some issues, but you can freestyle this camera and it will do just as good, if not better, than any analog camera out there. I've been testing analog cameras versus DJI for almost a year now, and I keep going back to DJI because it's just so good, so clear, and it's worth every penny of the investment to get into digital FPV in my opinion. It's changing the game completely, and you know, it's not unexpected that DJI does that. My bros are very trusting of my flying, but I do have prop guards, so you know, in this instance, family jewels guards. Now back under the van's no problem, and through the van here, you can see that the penetration straight through the van held up, even around that one steel wall right there. It was able to fly through. So I think that it's great on a quad. It's going to perform really nice. And the final test would be our Aero Scout, otherwise known as the ES Eagle by eSky. We're just going to go ahead and put it right on the front right here. And let's go up and see how it does on a nice sunny day. This is what you can expect from the Caddx Vista. Looking really, really good here. And I have to say that I'm probably most impressed with the Caddx Vista over the Air module. The Air module is just a little bit bigger, but I don't feel like I really need that DVR in a lot of instances. Primarily because I'm using multiple different types of video cameras anyway, like the little Go and my Insta360 camera, the 1R, as well as my Hero 7. So with Hypersmooth and all that, I feel like the DVR is not really needed unless you're just wanting to fly it purely with no action camera. That would be the only reason that you'd want to buy the Air module, the much bigger one. But then again, you can't put the Air module on extremely small whoops, and you can get away with a lot under 250 grams with the Caddx Vista. So either way you go, you can have fun with an airplane. You can put it on a wing, you can put it on a multi-rotor, and you're gonna love the Caddx Vista. It's absolutely awesome. So let's go back and give some final thoughts on the Vista.
All right, guys, thanks for watching that test. That was fun. Now let's talk about some final thoughts about the Caddx Vista kit. This kit comes in at around $150. So I think the price is pretty good for entry level into digital FPV. And I have to tell you that I think that the DVR that's recorded inside the goggles, it actually looks pretty good. When you have a clear line of sight between this video transmitter and your goggles, with all of the extra antennas that are on the DJI goggles, you have 4 on there. So basically you have quadversity, which is really nice. And is able to boost out a signal up to about 700 milliwatt. And I believe there is a hack out there to make it go up to around 1 watt. But it gets really hot on 700 milliwatt. And it also has a heating protection on here as well. So if it starts to overheat, it's going to say that on the screen, and it's automatically going to jump down to like 25 milliwatts. So you have to watch out for that. If you're flying long range, you want to make sure that this is on the outside of the aircraft body and that it gets proper airflow, because if you put it inside the frame, sometimes it can cause this to overheat, especially with a foamy fixed wing. It gets pretty hot inside those fuselages. If you're going to put it on a quad, it's going to be fairly exposed to the wind, and you won't have any problems with it overheating. On the hotter summer days, I have some issues where this will overheat, so be careful about that. But I like the fact that this one is much lighter than the original DJI Air module. This one does have the 1080p 60 frames per second DVR on here, but honestly, I think the DVR on the Air module, the video doesn't quite look as good as something like my Go. As long as this is properly mounted, the colors look more vivid on here, and I have more color control on this, which is really cool. And this one's only weighing in at 19 grams for an action camera with stabilization, 3-axis electronic stabilization on this little camera. And it's also cool because it comes with its own little charge dock. It has an iPhone connector in the very bottom that you can plug in and bring up the app, and you can download the videos to your phone. You can edit right there in the app and all that cool stuff. They are kind of taking over the market with some of these really awesome cameras. A lot of other FPV guys out there are now using the Go on various different quads, small little Cinewhoops, FPV race quads for freestyle, whatever you'd like to put it on, the fixed wing even. I've tested this on fixed wing as well, like you saw in the Tiger Moth video. In this video, the video looks really good. High throttle instances on the Tiger Moth, I did see some vibrations in that camera, but I like this one, the fact that it is, I'm gonna turn on the scale right here and put it on the scale. It's 32 grams with everything including the antenna for the Vista system. And this air module is twice the weight, if not 3 times the weight of the Vista. So we also have a new camera coming out for this one. It's a micro style camera that you can put on something even smaller. So you guys can do your indoor whoops with the new Nebula that's coming soon. So hopefully we get one of those to review on the channel. And also I have to talk about the penetration of the receiver on here. It did very well, extremely well. It actually does better than most of my FR Sky receivers, because I've been testing this receiver on my DJI transmitter. If you want to fly it with the DJI transmitter, this links up really easily. You press a 3-button combo on the DJI transmitter, and then you can set up the switches inside the goggles. So you don't have a computer display on the DJI remote, but you can go into the goggles and make all of the different switches active on that transmitter. And with the DJI radio, this never fail-safed. My XM Plus for my FR Sky transmitter has fail-safe behind the same exact set of trees that this one sailed through. And the same thing for the receiver on the air module. I've tested both of these now, and they're really rock solid as far as penetration. I have been getting some reports that these can go out from 2 to 3 miles for the stock setting. So that is actually a really good range on the DJI transmitter. And you want to try to make sure that you're flying line of sight when that happens, because you need a direct line of sight to these receivers. As far as the video transmission, I think that this one cranks all the way up to 700 milliwatt, and that's completely acceptable. You can go out like 5 miles on 700 milliwatt, so you're probably going to lose your receiver connection before you actually lose video on the Vista or the air module. As long as if you're flying long range, you want to have a clear line of sight to your transmitter. That's usually the rule of thumb. If you're flying long range, you want to go sort of higher and higher as you go. If you're a couple miles out, you want to be pretty high so that you get a clear reception back to your ground station or your goggles. But if you're going to ask me, which one would you go for, Justin? Which one would you prefer for 2020? I'm going to go with the Vista, mainly because I'm using these other cameras for my video source now, and it just looks better than the DJI DVR. I think the colors look a little bit muted on this. It's nice that it's 60 frames per second, but honestly, when you're running something like the Go or the 360 or even a GoPro, it's really not needed. So, and the price is a little bit better on this one. And 20x20 mount is nice because it'll just about go on anything these days. Just about any frame out there accepts 20x20 mounting options. So that's about the end of my review, guys, and thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed all the various different aircrafts that I put the Vista on and tested out for you. Thanks again for watching my channel, guys. Please do click subscribe down below and click the notification bell for those new videos coming out each week on the channel. I'm Justin Davis, guys. Take care. I'll see you on the next one.